Hey everyone, welcome to RevTrev NFL. My name is RevTrev, and I want to introduce you to my friend Peter Day. Welcome, Peter, to the show.
Thank you, man. There's nothing. The only thing that makes me happier than talking about Chargers is talking about bad things about Mahomes. Come on.
Oh, wow. So we're diving into a series. We've just done a video called Do Not Draft Marvin Harrison Jr. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But today, as Peter had mentioned, we're going to be diving into the controversial topic, and we're going to be debating this. And you'll never guess who I'm going to be debating for and who he's going to be debating for. But we're telling you, well, Peter's telling you not to draft Patrick Mahomes. Are you kidding me right now, Peter?
Do not draft the man where he's supposed to be drafted. Of course, he's one of the quarterbacks that's going to be drafted. But you cannot show me stats that say that he should be the third or fourth guy off the board when you're drafting your quarterback. Not close.
All right. Well, we're going to get into it. So before I give you the floor to make your argument, before we get into this debate together, I just want to remind everyone, take a moment to hit the like and subscribe. And if you want to, in your fantasy leagues, not just be in a fantasy league, but you want to compete and you want to contend and win a championship, baby, like Patrick Mahomes does.
No.
Back-to-back championships. And he's winning things like these rings right now, baby. Fantasy rings. You want to win one of these? You might want to draft Patrick Mahomes this year, but we'll get into it in a moment. But hit the like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I really would appreciate your support. All right, Pete, I'm going to give you the floor, and you tell me why people should not be drafting Patrick Mahomes this year.
Okay. I mean, we're just going to talk about a couple of things here. Okay. So as we're going through, what we're assuming is that the quarterbacks are going something to the effect of Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and sometimes you see Lamar go before Patrick Mahomes, but in general, he's going either second or third overall as a quarterback. Okay. Which would emphasize the fact that I'm going to say, if I'm taking my quarterback there, he has to get me second or third best numbers of quarterbacks, or else I'm drafting him in the wrong position. So let's just go through a couple of the stats. 2023 stats without Tyreek Hill. 4,183 yards. That is sixth in the NFL. And what I'm going through is stats that we use in fantasy. Okay, so we use yards, passing yards as one of his stats. Touchdowns.
Sixth in passing yards.
Sixth in passing yards. 27 touchdowns in the season. 2023, that was eighth among quarterbacks in the NFL. He threw 14 interceptions. He was tied for the 10th fewest interceptions. And an overall quarterback rating, which we don't actually use in fantasy in most leagues, 63.1 over the season. That is the eighth best quarterback rating in the NFL. I've got one other stat, but I'm going to save it because it's a little bit of it's kind of my finish. The other piece that I would add to that outside of the stats, my question to you, my friend, who is his number one receiver now? Don't tell me Kelsey. Don't say Kelsey. Who's his number one wideout that is going to get him those deep ball catches? I turn the floor to you.
Well, that's a valid argument, my friend. That's a valid argument. And that the answer to that is Kelsey, but it's not. Your point is valid because everyone's talking about Xavier Worthy, and I think he's good. Don't get me wrong, but he's
Rasheed
going to be a
Rice.
better version of MVS, right?
Yeah.
He's going to be able to catch. He's
And
got the speed.
Yeah.
He's very, very good. But I mean, if you want him to be the number one, the answer should be Rasheed Rice. That's who it should. But he's getting suspended, in my opinion. He hasn't been suspended yet, but I think he's going to be suspended. So, is Tony on the team? I just read a report today that they're using him in practice as a running back.
Yeah, they're running him into the little bit of that Debo thing, right? They're trying to run that offense and create this thing. It's like, and that is not good for quarterback stuff. But so his stats only get worse if they turn into the Swiss Army knife Debo style thing. So far the argument's weak, but you still have time. You still have time.
Oh, and it's a good argument because, well, I mean, Hollywood Brown should be the number one wide receiver there, right? I mean, if I'm gonna bet, and Rasheed Rice is gonna miss some time, I'm gonna go Hollywood Brown, and he's an upgrade than what they had last year. Yeah. So I think they've upgraded with Hollywood Brown and getting Xavier Worthy instead of MVS, and then whenever Rasheed Rice shows up, I maybe they're a little bit more dangerous than they're giving them credit for.
You know, maybe is a tough thing to bet on the third quarterback taken in the draft. Here's something for you. In the last 2 years that Tyreek Hill was in Kansas City, Mahomes was second in points per game, fifth in points per game the season before Tyreek's second last season with the team. And then his first season without Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes was the 12th quarterback for points per game in fantasy, tied with none other than one of your favorite team's quarterbacks, Justin Fields, and Patrick Mahomes tied in 2023 with 18.4 fantasy points per game.
Wow.
So you go ahead and take him at 37 or 40, and we'll see where that gets you in your league.
You know, that's shocking. Okay. Okay. So if you're drafting a quarterback high in fantasy, you are expecting you're expecting him. Okay. Let's get this right, Trevor. Let's get this right. It's called spelling. Okay. You're expecting him to be close to 400 fantasy points. Okay.
He's got to be approaching, right?
Last season, and I'm a realist, okay? I'm a realist. Patrick Mahomes was number 8. Guys, number 8 fantasy quarterback last season. 8. That's terrible. That's horrific. That's awful. So you're expecting him to get that high. Look at this number, Peter. 280 fantasy points last year. That's terrible for Patrick Mahomes.
And the thing I love about your stat here, look at the names around him, dude. Rookie and a guy that everybody was writing off before he signed at the last minute with Tampa. He's 6 points behind Mahomes. That's not even a half point per game.
So I'm with you, and I put up this stat just so people can see how bad it was last year. And if we want to look, these are the quarterbacks that were higher than Patrick Mahomes last year. Number 1 was Josh Allen. 2 was Jalen Hurts. 3 was Dak Prescott. Lamar Jackson came in at 4th. My boy, Jordan Love, number 5, man. And then Purdy goes 6.
Another video.
And then Goff is 7. All of those guys were in front of Mahomes, right? All of them. So
yes.
So do you think that happens again? Like, where do you think he ends up?
I think he's lower. I think he's closer to the 10th highest actually this year. Because what we're going to say here is that Jordan Love, you can get Jordan Love in the late 60s, early 70s in drafts. Purdy, you're going to get him in the 90s. And Goff is ranked mostly in the late 90s and early hundreds. So here's a guy that's beating him in points, and you're taking him at 40 or 37, and Goff, you could get him at 99 and get the same points, actually get slightly more points this year. So I don't think that Goff slows down. Goff in Detroit, they have not gotten weaker as far as their offense goes. And really during the playoffs, they really started to gel. Like the team is just going to get better there. Purdy in San Francisco, that is a offense that if they are healthy, dude, Purdy will be higher than 6. You're talking about Jordan Love. I don't know that he repeats a top 5, but he's also going to be a top 10 quarterback wrestling with the Patrick Mahomes at the 7 and 8 position. So to say, I'm going to take Jordan Love or Brock Purdy at 37, people would laugh you out of the draft. So why does Patrick Mahomes, because he has 2 consecutive Super Bowls, get drafted there as if it's factual? In fact, Dak Prescott, who sits in the number 3 spot, which is the 3rd quarterback, and usually Mahomes is the 2nd or 3rd taken in most drafts these days. Prescott, you can get Prescott late 50s, early 60s, all the time. And he beat him soundly. We're talking probably like 30 or 40, 50 points different than Patrick Mahomes last year.
That's bold. That's bold. I disagree. He will not be 10th. He will not be, I don't think he's going to be 8th again. He's not going to be in that range. I think he's trending upwards. And I'll tell you why. Because yes, we understand that it's fantasy. It's different than real life. We're talking about real life winning the Super Bowl. They probably have the greatest chance of
he's a winner. There's
right?
No,
he's a winner, right? He's a winner. Yep. Yeah, you're right. He knows how to win. The thing is, what I love about Patrick Mahomes is he barely misses games. So you've got some consistency there. I also want to mention that I'm kind of weirded out by that one stat that you had, because you said 2 years ago. Is that correct? That he didn't do very well? Or was it last year?
Last year he didn't. He was points per game was 12.
Okay. So I have to disagree with you, because this is the only time where he's super struggled. Actually, maybe not. Maybe there's been one. The other time he struggled was in 2019. Okay. They were 11-3. He had 4,000 yards, only 26 touchdowns, but he played 15 games. No, 14 games he started and he played. So he only played 14 games. That was the lowest of his career. And he had only 5 interceptions though. Okay.
Right. Every
other year, it's been 4,700, 4,800, 5,200. 2 years ago, he had 5,200 yards, 5,250.
Yeah, you know what?
40, no. You just give me a second here. 41 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. That's without Tyreek Hill, brother. That's without Tyreek Hill.
2 years ago?
That's 2 years ago, 2022. So here we go, bro. Last year was an anomaly. Now, this is my suggestion. If you're going Patrick Mahomes, now is the time. And I'll tell you why. Because he'll never be lower than now, brother. He'll never be lower than now. Right. He should be getting drafted with Allen and with Hurts. And he's not. He's getting drafted after that. You could get Mahomes for cheap. And I'm telling you, the experience, the coaching, I don't care though those wide receivers aren't the most elite. He's had some really elite players. He's had a lot of duds. He still has Kelsey. I get Kelsey's going. He's kind of declining. He's like in love with Taylor Swift. I understand that. But I'm telling you right now, he could be the guy that wins you your league if you get him late enough. Like if you're getting Patrick Mahomes in round 4, you could smash that, man. You could smash that and possibly win your league if you got 400 fantasy points. If you look at 2 seasons ago, 2022, he was the number 1 quarterback with 416 points. Josh Allen had 395. Jalen Hurts had 378. And so he was the number 1 quarterback 2 years ago. So I'm saying if you're, it's kind of like Tom Brady. You know how many times I bet against Tom Brady and I lost? Because not that I did bet real money, but I don't want Tom Brady. He's not going to win the Super Bowl.
We're not talking about winning the Super Bowl. I think that Kansas City has as good a chance as anybody at three-peating and winning a Super Bowl this year. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about fantasy points. And I want to say to you, I feel like you are extremely passionate about your position on Patrick Mahomes, and I'm extremely passionate against the position of drafting Patrick Mahomes. So this is the thing, and I'm going to drop the gauntlet right now. If Patrick Mahomes finishes outside the top 4, that Kansas City hat that's on your head, I get to drive over it with my car.
My goodness.
And if he ends up in the top 4, you can pick the Charger hat of your choice and drive over it at a later date at the end of the season. We will make the wager right now, and we will make the video to show the people that are seeing this video how serious and passionate we actually are.
First of all, I am totally in, but I have to decline because this was a gift from a friend of mine who's a passionate Chiefs fan. As you know, I'm not a passionate Chiefs fan. Yes. I'm a Packers fan. But
I'll drive over your Packers
Mahomes live. Okay. We've seen him live. We saw Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey tear up your Chargers in LA in overtime.
Yes.
And they won a fantasy championship for me that year. Peter, listen, I'll show you a trend. Okay. So in our league, our most important league, for 3 years in a row, whoever had Patrick Mahomes went to the finals. Except for last year. And I drafted Patrick Mahomes because everyone who had Patrick Mahomes went to the finals, and I was trying to get back to the finals. And guess what I didn't do? He killed me. He sunk me. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. But I think it's an anomaly. I think he bounces back. I think his talent wins out.
Though, it's not what you did in fantasy 3 years ago. Fantasy is all about, we watch the rankings change every single year. Because it's what have you done for me lately in fantasy?
I agree.
So I think there's a lot of great players who had lots of great seasons. I don't disagree with that. I think that Patrick Mahomes is on the downslide. I think he is still a winner. I think he wins 17-9 playoff games, but 17-9 doesn't win fantasy championships. That's my point. Not is he a winner? I'm not arguing that. Patrick Mahomes is as big as a competitor. You kind of almost in that Michael Jordan sort of, football style guy. But competitiveness, not fantasy points.
Well, okay, but you're saying this is a trend, Pete. And this is where I'm having a hard time. I think what's happening is so basically, if we go with your logic, Josh Allen is going to be quarterback 5 this year. He has no wide receivers.
But he
has a tight end that's not as good as Kelsey.
He also rushes for 7 or 9 touchdowns a season.
Yeah,
right?
he had 15 rushing touchdowns last year. That's hard to repeat.
He won't repeat that, but he'll get 8 or 9.
Okay, drop that.
Mahomes got 0. He had 0 rushing touchdowns last year.
Okay. Well, he had 0 the year he was number 1 with 416. So yes. He doesn't have to because his arm is better than Josh Allen's. We know that for a fact.
No, that is not true. Josh Allen
is true. He had 18 interceptions last year.
No. We're talking arm strength and arm talent.
And accuracy and
anybody that's talking and watching this right now, you need to comment on Trev saying straight goods that arm talent Patrick Mahomes is better than Josh Allen.
Yeah. Accuracy. Okay. So Josh Allen can throw the ball down 70 yards. Yippee skippy, throws an interception. Who cares?
How were his interceptions compared to Mahomes last year?
He had more. Josh Allen was one of the highest, wasn't he? Let me just look. He had 15. No, he had 18 interceptions last year.
And
Mahomes had 14 in a bad year.
In 15 games.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my point is, Pete, the year before that, he only had 12. So I don't think he's going to have he's not that's what I'm saying. He's more accurate. He's got a better arm than Josh Allen because he's accurate and he can throw the long ball. It's just I mean, what else do you want to say? He also finds ways to win, that guy. I don't know. Like
he wins in different ways. There is not, to me, a comparison in arm in throwing, maybe decision making, but the actual arm itself. Josh Allen has to be top 2 quarterbacks in the NFL, and it's not. The other one is not Patrick Mahomes. It's Justin Herbert. So if you're talking straight balls delivered and what he can do with a ball, you ask all the coaches in the NFL. Justin Herbert, talent, that spot itself might be the most talented quarterback in the NFL.
So when it comes to the draft, where would you wouldn't draft Patrick Mahomes until round 10?
I wouldn't take him before Prescott. I wouldn't take him before Jordan Love.
Wow.
I don't need to. I've never won a league with Patrick Mahomes.
I have, just saying.
I know, and so have other people, but lots of people last year with Dak Prescott won leagues too. So, and Dak Prescott we're not talking as him at being, he was almost the MVP, was in the conversation. So like you could say that as well. And then Lamar Jackson has been a top 5 fantasy quarterback. Guys that have Lamar don't win leagues generally. Doesn't necessarily equate to if you have this guy, you win a league.
But people who had Josh Allen last year were winning leagues.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm saying. Your quarterback scored you 400 points.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Mahomes
so the year I won.
I will bet. What do you want to bet? He doesn't get close to 390. Not close. If he gets 350, I'll eat the worst food you can make me.
That's any food. You're the cook, man.
I know.
You're the chef.
You get out of this lucky because the worst thing
I made the boys tonight. It was awful. I didn't even like it. I was barbecuing burgers and my propane died, so I decided to make them on the stove.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was awful. It was awful. Good thing is I had bacon, so that was,
bacon solves a world of issues.
Okay, everyone. So I'm in the stage where I would draft Patrick Mahomes. In all honesty, I would draft Patrick Mahomes in the late round 4 or somewhere in round 5. That's where I would draft Patrick Mahomes, and I'd feel like I did really well on it. Peter's saying do not draft him till round 6, 7, or 8.
There is no chance if CJ Stroud is on the board that I am taking Patrick Mahomes before him. Not zero chance.
And I can understand the argument.
So it's not. I think CJ Stroud is on the uprise, and I think that Mahomes is on his way down. And it's not like he's going to tank and he's going to be the 24th quarterback. I'm just saying he's not 3.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, so post in the comments, everyone, what you think. Where do you think Patrick Mahomes ends up as what quarterback this year in the top 10? Please post. And no answer is the wrong answer right now, just so you know. Because you can make any prediction you want. Just look what Peter's saying. He's going to be quarterback 10.
Yeah, and I'll be driving over one of your ball caps, brother.
It might not be the Kansas City one. Next thing you know. All right. Well, thanks, Peter. If you guys can hit the like and subscribe, we do love to debate fantasy football. We're doing this Do Not Draft series. We have another video coming up in just a moment. It'll be coming out tomorrow. And if you're watching this later, you're going to see it much later. And it's a doozy. It's going to be Do Not Draft Devontae Adams or Nico Collins. Come check out the conversation regarding that. And if you haven't watched already, watch the Do Not Draft Marvin Harrison one, you might be really surprised the good points that we have. So, Peter, any other concluding thoughts before we go?
I just one. Go Bolts.
Go Bulls?
Bolts.
Oh, Bolts. Sorry.
You just keep.
They're going to be terrible this year, right?
We're in a 4-year plan. Look what happened to Kansas City when Andy Reid came.
Here's this. Who's going to be higher, Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert this year?
Well,
come on.
Mahomes may be higher. Could be higher. Not for sure. But just simply because the weapons are there for Herbert. And they're going to run a completely different offense. It's going to be down your throat, north to south, downhill, between the tackles. That's the way they're going to play the game. So for quarterbacking, that doesn't exactly lay itself out for a 5,000-yard season.
Yeah, I hear you.
So,
all right, you heard it first. Okay, so have a good night, everyone, and hope that you can compete and contend and win a championship. I say draft Patrick Mahomes. Peter says,
don't bother.
Okay, peace.